Hi everybody, this is Jamie and welcome to another episode of Everything Airplanes. On this episode, we're going to be taking you through the Crawford Auto and Aviation Museum in Cleveland, Ohio. I came across this museum as a part of my trip to go and visit the Glenn Curtiss Museum up in Hammondsport, New York, and it turned out to be just a gem. I was so impressed with all the different articles that they have, and it's kind of a hard place to get to down in the University Circle of Cleveland, but what a treat to go in there. So instead of just doing the airplane stuff today, I'm going to try and give you some idea of what the museum includes as far as the motorcycle displays and the car displays, and there's some other interesting nuggets that I'll share with you also. Euclid Beach Park was a type of Coney Island park in Cleveland during the early 1900s. The Grand Carousel was built in 1910 by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company and referred to as the finest carousel ever made. It was one of Euclid Beach Park's most popular rides until the beach park closed in 1969. It featured 58 horses that were hand-carved from wood. Of those 58 horses, 54 were restored and painted by Carousel Works Company in Mansfield. Harley-Davidson was founded by William Harley and Arthur Davidson. In 1903, they produced their first 3 motorcycles. By 1907, production increased to 150 motorcycles. It was in 1909 when Harley-Davidson introduced their trademark 45-degree twin-V engine, which could bring it to a top speed of 60 miles an hour. In 1919, when the Harley-Davidson displayed here was produced, the company had just ended wartime production of motorcycles for the U.S. involvement in World War I. This Model 19F remains in unrestored condition and has an accessory rear-wheel drive speedometer, individually sprung rear passenger seat, and a complete lighting system. The Cleveland Motorcycle Manufacturing Company, sometimes called Cleveland Motorcycle, was a motorcycle manufacturer in Cleveland, Ohio from 1902 to 1905, and again from 1915 to 1929. The first Cleveland of 1915 had a 221cc displacement two-cycle single-cylinder engine with longitudinal crankshaft orientation, necessitating a warm drive to turn the axis of rotation of the drive to the transmission by 90 degrees. The transmission was a 2-speed with a sprocket turning a chain final drive. This is a 1952 Vincent motorcycle. It's a model Black Shadow Series C. The Vincent Black Shadow was the fastest production motorcycle of its time. It was handmade with fine quality finishes and was also more technologically advanced than most motorcycles in the 1950s. The Vincent engine has aluminum pistons, forged connecting rods, a unique rocker arm design, twin carburetors, and a dry sump oil system. It also has 4 fin brake drums, one on each side of the hub, and had a 4-speed transmission when the Harley-Davidson only had 3. With all of these technically advanced components, the Vincent Company was easily building the fastest motorcycle of the time. The hand-built quality led to expensive costs and low sales, and they stopped all production in 1955. The Owen Magnetic was an attempt to combine the unlimited range of gasoline-powered vehicles with the smoothness of electric vehicles. The Owen Magnetic had stately styling to appeal to the fashionable set. However, they were very complicated to drive. The appeal of smooth gear shifting could not overcome the vehicle's drawbacks. They were difficult to maintain, heavy, and one of the most expensive automobiles made in the U.S. During World War I, the Baker R&L Company turned to war production, stopped making the Owen Magnetic, and virtually ceased auto production after the war. This is a concept model of the 1966 AMX from American Motors. It's interesting that this car doesn't have an engine or transmission the running gear, whatever. There's no interior, and it's just a concept car. I've never seen anything like this before, but it was really kind of interesting to see and understand how the manufacturers came about with their designs. This is a 1936 Ford two-door deluxe sedan, stainless steel. Allegheny Ludlam, a steel company based in Pennsylvania, had them built by Ford as promotional tools, both to show off the wonders of stainless steel and as incentives for their sales department. Free use of the car for a year was given to the top salesperson. In 1960, Ford received a special order for two 1960 Thunderbird hardtops to be built using stainless steel bodies. This is a 1966 Lincoln Continental convertible. It's a four-door convertible with stainless steel body and black convertible top. White striped tires with chrome hubcaps, and the chrome trim extends from the front bumper to the back of the rear wheel well. In 1908, the Peerless Motor Car Company began using six-cylinder engines in its larger automobiles. Technical advances such as this, along with elegant coachwork, led Peerless to be considered one of the luxurious 3 Ps of American motoring, an unofficial title share with Packard and Pierce Arrow. The largest engines ever found in production American automobiles were made by Peerless between 1912 and 1915 and by Pierce Arrow from 1914 to 1918. The 66 had the largest engine the company ever produced. The massive 824.7 cubic inch six-cylinder engine produced 60 horsepower, which allowed this Peerless to easily sustain speeds in excess of 65 miles per hour. This sailboat is named Tinkerbell. It's 13.5 feet long, and in 1965, a 47-year-old newspaperman, Robert Manry, crossed the Atlantic with this, leaving Falmouth, Massachusetts on June 1st and arriving in Falmouth, Cornwall, England 78 days later. Pretty cool, some of the signs they say. So during the voyage, Manry was knocked overboard by big waves, suffered from hallucinations, repaired a broken rudder in mid-ocean, and this is my favorite, and was woke up one morning by a surfacing submarine, the USS Tench. Later, Manry wrote about his voyage in a book called Tinkerbell. Just thought it was interesting. You never know what you're going to find at these museums if you look hard enough. I just happened to be walking up the stairs or going up the escalator, and I noticed this thing tucked into the corner, and I had to take a picture of it. So interesting, like I said, interesting what kind of treasures you find if you keep your eyes peeled around every corner at these museums. This is the 1982 March 82C Indy Cosworth car. In 1982, Cleveland hosted a racing event that included such prominent names as Mario Andretti, Tom Sneva, Johnny Rutherford, Rick Mears, Al Unser Sr., A.J. Foyt, and Gordon Johncock. This is a 1956 Lotus 11 Le Mans Sport Racer. For the 1956 race season, Colin Chapman and his team at Lotus created an all-new racing car, body designed by Frank Costin. Dark blue painted exterior with white trim, fiberglass front end, and aluminum bodywork with all the wheel openings enclosed. And it included a plexiglass windscreen with an aerodynamic fairing. The National Air Races finally came to Cleveland Municipal Airport in 1929. Local businessmen Louis W. Greevy and Frederick C. Crawford, whom the display is named after, played important roles in bringing the event to Cleveland. Both men were involved in the aviation industry, with Greevy's Cleveland Pneumatic Tool Company making landing gears for aircraft, and Crawford's Thompson Products, later TRW, involved in the production of aircraft engine valves. The Cleveland Air Races of 1929 kicked off with a grand parade down Euclid Avenue, watched by over 100,000 spectators. A $3 million aviation exhibit opened in the Cleveland Public Auditorium at the same time. Meanwhile, the event's organizers built a permanent grandstand at the airport, which could seat 50,000 spectators. The 10-day event, held in late August and early September, proved to be wildly successful, and the air races returned to Cleveland in 1931, 32, 34, 35, 37, 38, 39, 46, 47, 48, and 1949. The most popular parts of the races were the fast-paced, closed-course races. The 1929 Thompson Trophy race, for example, featured planes flying 5 laps around a 10-mile course. Cross-country races timed to end in Cleveland during the races were also held. The inaugural Powder Puff race of 1929 featured women competitors, including Amelia Earhart, flying from California to Cleveland. Blimp rides, parachuting competitions, and military demonstrations kept the fans entertained between the races. The dangerous nature of aviation at this time was surely part of the appeal that drew crowds to the air races. Indeed, crashes were common and fatalities sometimes occurred. The close-course races in particular, with pilots jockeying for position midair, could be incredibly dangerous. In 1949, Bill Odom crashed his P-51 Mustang into a house in the city of Berea during the Thompson Trophy race, killing himself, a mother, and a 13-month-old child. Afterwards, the city of Berea and other cities near Cleveland Airport passed laws barring races from being held in their airspace. For this reason and other reasons, 1949 would be the last national air race held in Cleveland. In fact, the event as a whole went on hiatus after the crash, before being revived in Reno, Nevada in 1964. This North American P-51K Mustang, named Second Fiddle, was part of the 1946 Thompson races. Although Second Fiddle was not radically modified as some of the other planes, a special fuel mixture helped it to finish fifth. The plane is still all original except for the components removed by the pilot to make the plane lighter for racing. This little white beauty is the 1930 Howard DGA-3 named Pete. In 1929, Benjamin Benny Howard built Pete, one of the first purpose-built air race planes. Howard created the plane specifically for air racing and especially for the events at the National Air Races. Scarcely 17 feet long with a 20-foot wingspan, Howard's third airplane, Pete, was designated DGA-3, with DGA standing for Damn Good Airplane. Pete's first test was the 1930 National Air Races in Chicago. Winning 5 of the first 7 races, Pete became one of the most successful racers in any form of motorsport. In the men's free-for-all, contested by 7 planes with larger, more powerful engines, Pete finished an impressive 3rd place despite a huge horsepower disadvantage. Howard entered the little plane in the 1931 Cleveland race, but obsolescence was already setting in. Pete could only eke out a 6th place finish. After a long life of numerous alterations and competitions, Pete was finally acquired by an aircraft restorer in California who remembered the original Pete and restored the plane back to its original appearance and function. That's what you see right now, and just a beautiful little airplane. I wish I'd have been around to see it fly. The Waddell Williams racer displayed here is the most remembered of the 3 Model 44s designed and built by Jimmy Waddell. Construction of this aircraft began in 1932 when the flamboyant aviator Colonel Roscoe Turner, with the financial backing of the Gilmore Oil Company, contracted Waddell to duplicate the Waddell Williams No. 44 Miss Patterson. Turner, famous for his in-flight antics with his pet lion cub, was convinced that the sleek Model 44 would make it possible for him to win the Thompson and Bendix trophies. Completed in August of 1932, Turner flew the new racer, powered by a Pratt & Whitney 550 horsepower Wasp Junior engine, to 3rd place in both the Thompson and Bendix races that year. This is a Curtiss aircraft engine built in 1911. The four-cylinder water-cooled engine produced 35 horsepower at 1200 RPM and weighs approximately 135 pounds. The engine was built entirely by hand, with much of the work done personally by Glenn Curtiss. It was used for observation aircraft and in small personal aircraft until the late 1930s. Today's four-cylinder aircraft, by comparison, produce upwards of 160 horsepower, which is almost 5 times the original horsepower of this engine built by Curtiss. These next few pictures are the reason I came to this museum. This is a 1910 Curtiss Model E named the Bumblebee. And the story says, after an accident involving a cow wrecked his first airplane, native Clevelander Al Engel ordered his Curtiss HydroAeroplane so he could land on the water. The Bumblebee received its name from a ladies' only contest sponsored by its owner, Al Engel. The HydroAeroplane came equipped with a single seat and a 50 horsepower Curtiss engine. By 1913, Engel had increased its payload and capacity by adding a passenger seat and upper wing extensions. A new specifically built Curtiss engine provided additional power. Engel gave rides to the residents of Cleveland and Chautauqua Lake, New York. He also was one of the first airmail pilots, beginning that service in 1914. The officially sanctioned airmail route ran between Celeron and Mayville, New York, with stops at Lakewood, Bemus Point, and Chautauqua. Engel retired his Bumblebee plane at the end of 1914 when he returned to the Curtiss Company to assist teaching Navy pilots to fly seaplanes. In 1946, he sold it to the Thompson Auto Album in Cleveland. The Bumblebee was restored at that time and is now the sole remaining genuine Curtiss HydroAeroplane to exist. This was a really great museum trip for me. Just seeing the 1910 Curtiss Model E aeroplane or HydroAeroplane on display was pretty amazing for me. I just love finding the last example of an airplane to exist. It's just really something about just seeing the last one on the planet that I was able to walk around and photograph and videotape. It was really nice being at the museum on the day I was there because there weren't a lot of other people there also. But I did mention that there were a couple other nuggets that I found along the way. And there was a propeller there that was covered with signatures of noted aviators, including Charles Lindbergh. And it was part of the memorabilia collected by Clifford Henderson. And Clifford Henderson was the managing director of the National Air Races from 1928 to 1939. After his passing, his wife donated his documents and his memorabilia to the Western Reserve Historical Society. And unfortunately, I didn't get a picture of the entire propeller, just the signatures that were there. One of the last things I saw at the museum was a display honoring Bob Hope, the entertainer. And there was a lot of interesting articles about him and his life in entertainment and in Hollywood. But one of the things that really struck me as unique was there was a sign that said, on October 29th, 1998, Bob Hope received an honor that was the first of its kind to be awarded. And it was President Clinton at the time signed Resolution 75 in the Oval Office honoring Bob Hope as an honorary veteran of the United States Armed Forces. That was pretty amazing. With all that he did, he was given the honor of being called a veteran of the United States Armed Forces. He replied to the honor, "I've been given many awards in my lifetime, but to be numbered among the men and women I admire most is the greatest honor I have ever received." I'd never heard about that before, but it was really cool to be able to see that document and to know about that honor that one of the great American entertainers and just one of the great American patriots, was given for his work with the United States Armed Forces. Pretty cool. Hey everybody, this is Jamie from Everything Airplanes. Just want to thank you for watching the recent video, and I'm looking for some feedback. Went on a little bit of a different track this time with including some of the non-aviation articles from the last museum that we were at the Crawford Auto and Air Museum. Just want to get some feedback as to whether you enjoyed that content or not. If so, it'll give me some good feedback as to how to produce my next upcoming videos. Again, you can contact me directly at everythingairplanes@yahoo.com if there's subject matter that you'd like to have me cover. I appreciate your support. I'd appreciate it if you'd share the Patreon site with your friends, and God bless. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.